mechanics.
Yeah, I think we should tell them to obtain locally.
Okay, okay. That's,
We don't need to stock that.
the only concern I would have would be APAC and their ability, or, you know, some of
They've
those.
got Hanford, he'll have to source it.
Okay.
Make sure you put that in the video, Glenn.
Hanford will come by and personally adjust the tension on each one.
Yes, Hanford will
On a-
visit every customer
on a
and
weekly
adjust belt tension weekly.
Service tools should be just a 3% markup.
Yeah,
Yes,
tell our
that's-
parts guy that.
Yeah, we have got. the
Glenn,
same
cut
thing.
that from the video, please. Okay, we ready? So let me see what our next step is gonna be. So that's installed, and then we're on to the brushes and the rollers. Okay,
Okay.
ready?
So you talk there, say now that the covers are installed,
And
we'll
you've
cut
got
to
them
here
in
from
there?
a quick picture, yep.
Now that we have the grass shield covers installed, as you can see, the tall one is to the top, short long one is to the bottom. Snug them down, that will just protect from any kind of contamination getting inside of the groomer assembly. Now we're gonna move to assembling the front brush and roller. Cut.
Cut.
Just,
Do it again?
What is a short, long one?
Just differentiate between the two.
Just trying to show them the difference in size.
Yeah, but the short, long, is it medium?
Oh, did I say short long? I should have said,
I don't know, I wasn't
Doesn't
listening.
matter.
okay, let's start over.
You wanna do that again?
I'm just gonna point out the two covers, just remember which one goes where.
Okay,
Alright, ready?
yep.
Now that we have the two grass shields installed, note where they go on the assembly. We will move on to installing the brush and roller.
Cut. Okay,
Short and long, that was good.
I would do,
Or in the UK, we call that the medium one.
you would do the roller first, or,
No, I
do
think
the-
it says to do the brush first.
Okay,
or the
well,
groomer.
we'll follow the instructions, yeah.
So what's it say? Assemble the end of the brush with the jam nut on the drive side of the reel. Assemble the end of the groomer shaft with two nuts on the drive side of the reel. Slide 7/8 by 17 32nd spacer beat.
So we need a 1/2 inch wrench, I'm not sure, do you have a 1/2 inch wrench?
Yeah.
That's good.
Slide 7/8 by 17 32nd BJ.
BJ.
Onto shaft assembly, see figure 9.
So what we're gonna have to do is disassemble, and what you'll definitely call out here is which, so we can assemble the whole brush down at this end, but you've got these different spacers that are different lengths, and we wanna specify which ones go on which end, and we need to specify that this is the wrong bolt.
We don't want to specify this.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I've got the brush.
That's almost like short long, you know.
You wanna take the short one and the long one, and then you wanna take the long, and, so this is the other, did you mention that these are, there's one that's 1.25 inches,
We haven't
inch
got
and a
there
quarter,
Not the-
1.25 inch one's in here. Inch and a
I'll call
quarter.
that out though when we show these.
Okay,
So this end's 1.25 inch, this end's 1.25 inch, and the one on that end is 1 inch.
right. Check what the manual says, I think that's right, but I know these are the two longer ones, and that's the one that's shorter.
BT,
See,
CO.
now that one's in there already.
CO is their 1 inch, and that is on the opposite, you know, the non-drive-in.
Okay. There we go. So I don't know if we take a picture of the brush and show, because see, that's where we've got 4 lengths of these. And so you, see what I mean, but you got the,
Okay, but which ones go where, so we don't get them all mixed up. So let's get this out of here.
And the long, short one.
go down here, right?
Hanford, that was nice.
Am I right? Did I do that right?
Come on,
Gonna
I
take
didn't
them
know
back
what you're
in?
taking apart. Alright, so on the drive-in, BP is, where are you, BP? BP, 7/8 by 31 32nd, so almost 1 inch long.
Okay. That one. Trust me, I'm looking at those.
But that goes on this end. Yeah, that's right, you did take that off, it was right here. No, but you took it off the opposite end.
Here, wait. page real
This
quick.
is the drive. Keep going, next one. There you
Yeah,
go.
on, what you want?
Keep going. There it is.
What is that? It's this,
The very last page shows it.
it's the brush.
Very last page.
No, right here. So I got spacers 25, we got a pen on them?
24. So
25 and
25
24.
is 7/8, 24 is 15/32.
So we've
So
got,
that's just over a half
yeah,
inch.
but then you've
Or just under
got
a half inch.
18 and 17 are your other two. So I did it this way, is, you grab the other two spacers, you've got an inch and 15/32 is your long one there. Then you've got an inch and 30, that one, that's the 31/32. And then you've got your 7/8, then you got your really short one, right? So you got your longest one with your middle one. Yeah, those two go together, and that's 24 and 25, and they go on the non-drive side, which is this end. And then you got 17 and 18, which is the half inch, or roughly a half inch, and almost an inch. They go together,
And they go on the drive-in.
and they go on the drive.
And where's the longest one go?
The longest one goes on this end.
No, I mean,
Oh,
of
it
each
goes,
group.
this one goes inside, so your assembly looks like this.
Right, and then on the opposite side, the long one goes to the outside.
Yeah. The long
Right.
one goes to the
17.
outside.
Yep.
Yep.
So just lay them out so I know how to put them together. Okay.
There we go. Stand them up and then we'll roll, right? Let's get this up here, this is what
Now this is gonna be hard to do unless I do it from the side, because if I do it from the front, I'm gonna block that whole camera.
well, I can always move the close-up camera.
No, this camera, you're gonna have to move to here.
Yeah, yeah,
But I need to stand here so we're not blocking this one.
Yeah, so now if you,
Okay.
so what I'll do is, yeah, I'll come up here, and, see, now, keep in mind, this is where you gotta say, we assemble that in, and we tighten everything up, we assemble this in, so I think we wanna start down there, assemble that in, lock everything down tight, come down here, assemble it, leave it loose, and then we install it, and then because we wanna tighten this hardware, or the bearing housing into the side plate, and then after we back out the nut is when we tighten the bolt on the end.
Yeah, but the instructions are telling you to start on that end.
Instructions are fucked up then, but that's fine.
That's fine, I can still call that out.
Well, we can install everything on this end and leave it
Yeah,
loose.
then we
and
go
install
here,
everything tight
and
on
then
this
we
end,
tighten it,
put
and
it
then we
in,
go there.
tighten it down.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
which side are you starting?
We're starting over here,
Yeah.
just like it says to do. Note, assemble the end of the brush with the jam nut on the drive side, so we gotta call that in. And if we are installing the groomer, you would assemble the end of the groomer shaft with two nuts on the drive side. So we need to call both of them out. So
Yeah.
just remember that this jam nut will always go to the drive
You
side.
want me to get a groomer? I got one in my office.
Yeah, that way we can just show it. Okay, so the rag's gonna be back here. And we don't call this out until later, so let's get this out of the way. All we wanna do is assemble. Okay. Glenn, where are you when we need you?
It's 18-inch rubber. So as we talk to it, we'll just point to the end and then pull it
Yeah,
out.
and then pull it out.
And it doesn't have the right blades, but
That's fine. Okay, we ready? We're okay.
near miss. You can put it behind the brush.
I'll hold on to it. I think it's good.
Because
So let's do this
how are
real
you gonna
quick.
assemble this? I mean, are you
I'm gonna assemble it
all
from
right
here.
there? Okay.
And then what we'll do is, I'm gonna do the easy stuff. I'll slide this on, I'll call out the small spacer, slide it on,
Yeah.
and then install this into the housing.
Slide it, okay, don't put it in, put it in, but.
Right, make sure that we're on the seal good, and then we're gonna install this
So that needs to go out and go on the other side.
like this.
So that needs to come out and go on the other side then.
It can't, because that's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't go through.
But this
Oh, the
goes
little
on
one
the-
goes through there.
Yeah.
Why does it say to? Slide shaft assembly through bearing housing BK and spacer BP. Oh, okay. So that faces out, spacer goes here.
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So
that
this
faces
is all
that
I
way.
need here for now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna start out calling out the 2 jam nuts, or the
Okay.
single jam nut.
Where's our other bolt for holding this into the bearing frame when we're ready?
I got it back here to the back. I moved
Okay.
it because it's not in this shop.
Okay.
All right, we're good. So I'll start out calling these out.
Then just pick this up and set it back here, or,
Yeah, then I'm gonna move it out of the way. And then, actually what I'll do is I'll call this one out, so move this over so we can, I'm right there and I don't have to reach across to work on it.
okay.
And then I'll pick this up and I'll call out the 2 jams and then I'll get rid of it.
Just push it back here and hand free if he grabs it when we're done.
Yeah, I'll just hand it to you.
Or just stand over on this side, hand free, he can pick it up, you can point to it, and then he'll just pick it up and take it away. You know, it'll disappear, right?
Yeah, but he'll probably have to crop it because Hanford's gonna be in video. That way I can just, if I grab it, I'll grab it and I'll talk to it. And then
No,
I'll
just-
just pull it over
No,
like this.
leave it there, and when we zoom in over here, we'll just grab it and take it. Because you'll say, talk about the assembly and whatnot, and then, okay, so what are you gonna say?
I gotta start out by calling out the jam nuts.
Yeah, okay, no, just go through
And
what you're
then I'll
gonna
go
say.
here.
Okay, and then, and as you point to that hardware, you'll take the spacer, this spacer, this spacer, this spacer, that'll be a close shot, he can just pick it up and
just
take it
pull
away.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, we probably do wanna call out the spacer dimensions. I don't know if you wanna put the instructions where you can see them and say, you're gonna take the, 17/32 spacer, which goes on the inside, and the 31/32 spacer goes on the outside of the bearing housing. Just because, you know, hardware and stuff, I mean, they're gonna have to look at that, but this, I guess they're gonna look at the,
Write it down bigger so you can see.
No, I just need to call it out, so.
you just need to know it's 17/32. And if you write it on the bottom of the page, 17/32 and 31/32. Let's make sure that it's the right ones, all right? 17/32.
So that one goes on first.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna slide the bearing housing and the 31/32 spacer on.
Yeah, because
Then
I
we'll
mean,
cut, because I'll
Yeah.
talk and then we'll cut. and
yeah,
do
you'll
the
point to
assembly.
all this and then you'll assemble it all on, because the key and everything, and then we'll just cut back to it already assembled.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, action.
Now we will begin assembly of the brush or groomer to the assembly. First thing to remember when doing this assembly, either with the brush or the groomer, we want to make sure that the jam nut is to the drive end of the unit and the double jam nuts are to the drive end on the groomer. Now, to assemble this side, we will start out with the 17/32 spacer, the bearing housing, the 31/32 spacer, our key, our gear, and our hardware. Now we will assemble this to the unit. Cut.
I'm trying to, I'm gonna hit pause, and I'm like, no, I don't need to hit pause. Yeah, so now we just assemble all that on there. You a hammer or anything?
Yeah, so I got something. Do not use this as a hammer.
Ooh, yeah, never mind. Then we'll cut
And then
back to
I'll
this
call
and
out
say,
again all the
leave this hand tight at this point.
Yeah, and I'll actually move it back and forth to show.
Yeah, yeah, so that, I mean, this is still a good shot, so now if we just say,
So
you know,
we'll stop
action.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then we can flip it around and install the other hardware. No need to move the cameras down here.
I agree. Okay,
Okay.
we ready?
Yep.
Now that we have assembled the drive side with our 17 32nd spacer, our bearing housing, our 31 32nd spacer, our drive gear with key and hardware, we would want to leave this finger tight, make sure everything's free to move, and we will assemble the opposite side before we complete the installation to the drive.
Yep. Make that down there. You've got.
Now I need to flip this over.
Let's just verify that
Yeah.
that's.
So now we have, that one goes on first. This goes on facing out, but this way. So I need this hardware out of the way. And then we got this and this. And this is where I need to call out the 3 lengths of the bolt.
Yeah, you can say that this
So
end,
before I do this, I'll
end,
say this
yeah.
end, the non-drive in will take the 1-inch long bolt, the drive in and the,
You can say the hardware for the drive-in, the drive pulley, and this end are all the same threads, but this bolt is a 1-inch bolt versus an 1.25 inch, however you want to say that.
alright, I'll do that. Alright, we ready? We good on our cameras?
Yeah.
Yeah. Action.
Now we're going to assemble the non-drive in. When assembling this in, we will start out with the long spacer. Damn it. Break. I didn't call out the size. So, my big one is CJ, which is 1 and 15 32nds. And then my short one is CK, which is 1 inch. No. 7/8. 7/8 spacer. Okay. Alright,
Why
let's start
don't you
over.
call it 32 mil and 20?
The
So much easier.
Don't get me started.
long one,
Okay, the long
The
one,
long one.
and the middle long,
the short tall one will go. Okay,
tallest
here we go.
midget in the circus.
Here we go. We have assembled our drive-in. Now we will begin assembly of our non-drive side. We will start this assembly with our 1 and I got it written down, I just didn't remember.
No, I was gonna, if you look up, I'm looking for something to write it on so that we can show
I'm
you.
good. All I gotta call out is 1 and 15 32nds and 7/8. Ooh, there you go.
One,
Nice.
1 and what, 15? Can you read that?
No. Try again. Nope. I read.
Permanent marker? Yes. Permanent marker works.
1 and 15 32nds and then 7/8.
Those are big enough for you to see?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what he's trying to say about my eyes, but that's fine.
Well,
All right, we ready to go again?
sounds like it.
Okay, here we go. We have loosely assembled our drive side. Now we have switched the brush over and we are going to begin assembly of the non-drive side. We were going to start out with the assembly using the 1 and 15 32nd spacer. We will slide that onto the shaft. We will then install our bearing housing. Make sure that the grease fitting and the sill are facing to the shaft. Then we will install our 7/8 spacer and our hardware. One thing to remember on the hardware is our non-drive side is a 3/8 24 thread, but only 1 inch in length. Our drive side and our pulley are both 1 1/4 inch lengths, 3/8 24 thread. So those two are identical. This end uses the shorter bolt. Now we will assembly. Just cut way back there where I screwed up.
Right.
And now you can
start
just-
right from scratch again?
You want me to start all over?
No.
Is that 9/16 now? So now you can say you can tighten this end.
Okay, so isn't this a 1/2 inch wrench?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I not do that? And
Nah, I can do that.
Okay, now that we have assembled this side of the non-drive assembly, we will go ahead and tighten this up. There is a slot in the shaft that will allow for a 1/2 inch wrench to grab hold. Use a 9/16 socket and we will snug this side down, nice and tight. Remember, always use the torque specs called out in the manual.
Cut.
That was
Okay.
good, wasn't it?
Yep.
It's like I threw that in.
So now,
Very impressive.
what's the next step? I'm assuming that you're actually gonna slide this in.
Let's see. Yeah, so we slide this in first, but here's where we gotta call out this.
No, that goes on the front roller.
Oh,
I'm like, what the hell?
no, that doesn't.
No, it
This goes
doesn't.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right, okay.
Glenn, where are you?
It's the other tank, is it
Goes
good? Yeah. You want it up and over to you anymore?
Right about there.
I was thinking that was the tang for the front
Now, if you
roller.
can get here. Now, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna have to be in front of that camera.
No, you have to do it from behind. So what you do now is you,
She likes it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the easiest thing to do.
I know, so yeah, you can talk about,
This.
so yeah, I would,
So which way does this face? Up or down?
no, it goes in because this slides into this plate here, like this.
Okay, so I need to call that out, that this, the cutout
Yeah.
will face the
And I'll
side
be
plate.
close enough in there, and so then you'll put that on
Then I'll
there,
slide it in,
yeah, and then you can,
come
now
around
you're
here
gonna have
and
to come
grab it.
here, and trust me, yeah, it's not easy, 'cause you've gotta line up this thread here
But
without
I gotta
opening on
slide
that
this in
side.
first.
Yeah, well, you've gotta get it in just a little bit, then get the thread through, and then slide it the rest of the way over, and you've got the bearing housing on wrong over here.
Did I?
Yeah,
Hanfried, where were you, my brother?
okay.
So let's start all that over again.
And yeah, that's a good note though, then, to say that note that the bearing housing goes,
Faces out on this one
Yeah.
versus in on the other one.
No, they both face.
they both face the same direction.
Yeah. Well.
So one is out and one is in. But the bearing housings used to both be on the inside of the frame, on the outside
But now
of the
that
frame.
one's on the outside.
Yeah,
I
so
just,
you come
I'm
in
used to the
and
old
slide
style.
over.
See, I'm
And so
good.
that's gonna be, both of those face the same way. I think the old ones, they were different.
All right, so let's go back to assembling that, and then we'll call this out and be ready to install. And we'll just leave this set up.
You only have to do this side
Right.
again, not.
Right.
So I can start off just like this, but this has to go on this way.
We'll leave the cutting
This
unit
has to
up,
go
and you can,
that way. This,
this,
this.
yeah. And then you can just keep rolling, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can flip it back around, you'll have your tang, you can install
I'll
the.
call out the tang and then I'll slide it in and talk about lining up that notch.
Yeah. And it's probably good, and when you do flip it around, to go ahead and say, that, to orient this one towards the back,
Mm-hmm.
and this one towards the front. So as you slide them in, the screw holes will line up.
All right, we ready?
Yes.
We got everything in, you can see it in this one?
Recording, not recording.
If it's screwed up again, you will be doing this video all by yourself. Okay, here
We
we go.
got 10 minutes.
Now that we have installed the drive side of our brush, we've flipped the brush over and we will now install everything to the non-drive side. We will start out with our 1 and 15/32 spacer, slide it on the shaft. We will then install our bearing housing as shown. Maybe. Then our 7/8 spacer and our hardware. With the hardware, please remember that on this side, the bolt is a 3/8/24 1-inch length. The drive side bolt and the main pulley bolt are 3/8/24 1 1/4 inch length. So don't get them mixed up when you're assembling. Now we will install the hardware and tighten everything up. Cut. That's facing the right way?
Yep.
Alright, I got all confused.
Yeah, it didn't, you can't really see it from this end, but I was like, that spacer's not on all the way when you were installing, there was still a big gap, and it should
Yeah.
almost be to, just a couple, an eighth maybe.
Yeah, I'll call out that this needs to be through the
No,
symbol.
that's fine, it was just, on the other end, it's not, so,
Okay, we ready?
yep.
Now that we have the parts assembled, we will go ahead and tighten them up. There is a slot cut out on the shaft for a 1/2 inch wrench. Slide the wrench in, and let's go ahead and tighten this side down. Remember to always use required torques that are set up in the manual. Now that the whole thing is assembled, we will go ahead and flip it back over. And we will be ready to install the brush. Couple things to remember when installing the brush. On the drive side, our attachment bolt will face to the back of the unit, and on our non-drive side, it will face to the front. Now we will go ahead and install that. One thing to remember when installing it, we want to install our tang or our adjuster assembly plate to the drive side. Remember that the slot cut out will face out, okay, to right in our slot for our belt adjustment. All right, we will pick up the roller, install that in, line it up. Now, when assembling this to the side plates, you will need to start it into the drive side and then clear the spacer for the whole assembly to come together. Okay, once we clear the spacer, we will get everything lined up, and we will start by lining up our driven side plate, install our hardware, cut. Why do I got two different length hardwares?
Because the longer hardware goes in this side, because you've got to clear your 3/8 plate.
Okay. Alright, so let's start back with the hardware. I showed it and then said cut. Okay.
Because I'm zoomed in on that side over there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now, when we install our bearing housing, we will use the short 1/4 inch.
Hang on, start that over again, because I'm zoomed in too much. Okay, if you're gonna hold it right above the, okay,
Yeah,
now
I'll
I've
show
got it. You'll show it and I'll be able to zoom in on a little bit.
Actually 5/16.
Okay,
Ready?
yep.
Now we will start by tightening up our bearing housing on our non-drive side with the short 5/16 hardware from the inside going out, which is hard to do upside down. For the time being, we're going to leave that hardware loose.
No, we would tighten it up. You cinch that
Don't I
side
need
down.
to get this lined up.
You can go ahead and tighten that now.
Now that we have that hardware installed and our bearing housing oriented to the front, we will go ahead and tighten that hardware up, again to the factory spec. Everything's factory spec here. Nice and tight to spec, and we will move to the drive side and finish the assembly of that. So on the drive side, remember we have our belt adjustment plate. We will need to line that up in the slot. We have a longer 5/16 18 bolt that we will install here.
Cut.
Really nice if you can
Cut.
see it.
Once installed, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, how do we look? We good?
Yeah. And now where we'll say that we're gonna snug this all the way down to pull the bearing housing to the side.
That's when I talk about the jam.
And then make the adjustment on the jam nut. And then after the jam nut's tightened, we snug this down.
Okay, but the jam nut's tightened finger tight, just a
Yeah,
touch.
finger tight, yeah.
Okay, so let me make sure it's backed off. Okay. Now, am I pretty snug here?
Is this camera in the way?
Yep.
Just picking up the screen.
My nose itching. Must be all the lights. Getting taken.
It's out now? Okay. 'Cause
It's on
now,
belly.
it's all belly.
Come on,
That's what he
brother.
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly how close in, zoomed in
Well,
I
I'm
need to
gonna be
be,
back
but,
here.
okay.
So I'll start out and I wanna talk to, make sure that our hardware out here is tight, our bearing housing is tight to the side plate.
Yeah.
Then we will come down here, as you see our jam nut is loose. We will use this jam nut and finger,
Well, you'll need to tighten this whole housing to the side first. You'll need to make sure this is snug, tight, not just finger tight down here, but tight to pull the bearing housing against the side
alright,
plate.
so I'll do that first.
Yeah, and you'll, I mean, you can actually, well, the whole damn table moves.
Yeah, but this moves, so I can
Yeah.
show that. As you can see, all this hardware is loose.
This is loose,
Okay.
but we're trying to pull this bearing housing tight against the side plate.
Okay, so we ready?
Yep, we're ready.
Now that we've installed the brush into the side plates, a couple notes we need to make sure we do. Make sure the hardware on the non-drive side is tightened up securely. The bearing housing is tightened up to the plate securely. We will come down to the drive side, back off our jam nut all the way. We will then take our 1/2" wrench or socket, break,
It's on the,
let's do that again. Get my wrench here. All right, ready?
yep.
We have now installed the brush into our side plate assemblies. Couple things we want to check before we finish this assembly. First, let's make sure that our non-drive side is tightened up securely. Our bearing housing is tightened up to our side plate assembly. We will then come down to the drive end. We will back off our jam nut so we are not touching the bearing housing. And then we will tighten up our hardware for the bearing housing to make sure the bearing housing is snug, nice and tight to the side plate. Okay? Once there, if you notice, our drive assembly is still loose. Okay? At this time, we will adjust our jam nut out to take out the free play. By doing this, we are stopping any interference between the side plate and the reel or the two side plate assemblies. We will just snug it out finger tight to touch the bearing housing. That way we're not skewing the angle of the brackets. Then again, we will use our 1/2" wrench to hold our shaft, and we will now tighten our drive assembly. Okay, now that everything is tight, we have set our bearing housing and our end plate on our brush, so we are not putting any undue stress onto the brackets which would interfere with your adjustment procedure. Now we will move on to installing the belts and the drive assembly. Damn it. No, we
What
won't.
about the brush,
Front roller.
front
What?
roller?
Yeah, it's
We
okay.
do the front roller next.
But the other thing is too, is a lot of times I say, back this off. when
Well,
you're
I'll
done,
talk about that
to
one.
make sure that you still get, once this is done,
The bearing housing moves up and
it
down.
still moves freely.
Yeah, I'll talk about that.
And you know, that's the only other thing with
Yeah,
plates.
but we won't show that because remember we left that hardware loose.
Well, that's where I was thinking we need to say that hardware needs to be tight, because when your plate needs to be tight, unless you're not worried about
I'll
it.
just call out to
Okay.
make sure that all your mounting hardware is snug.
It needs to be tight. for
Everything, the
assembly
frame
when
is
you get
pulled
to
on
here.
before you do this
Yeah.
adjustment.
Yeah,
So do you wanna just do that one again?
yeah, because you're coming back. the
Alright,
only
so
thing
I'll
is
say
we-
at this time, let's just snug down our height adjuster. What else do we need to
We
snug?
can't snug that down because it's. and
Well, we'll
that's-
just have to talk to it. We'll just have to
Yeah.
talk to it.
Yeah, but
Because
that's actually-
earlier I
that's-
told you this
Well,
was
that's not gonna
tight.
hold it tight anyways, because you have to be able to slot.
Right.
It's,
There is nothing else.
yeah, that'll take in a lot of the play.
Right.
Where else is that play coming from?
It's probably here.
What?
This is because you haven't got a yoke on.
Yeah.
No, the yoke shouldn't play into that, but
No.
that's tightened down.
It's probably these. Remember I left them loose,
Yeah.
both of these.
Yeah, but.
So I'll just talk to
Okay.
it. And I already talked to this. This has to be snug, so we just have movement on the plate.